Welcome back to Niagara Learning Channel. We're going to carry on with our analytics, and hopefully you've seen video hashtag 153 and video hashtag 154. The 153 was setting up the analytics service on a supervisor, and the 154 is about tagging. So to carry on with this analytic, this was a station that we did, the supervisor. And I want to go into my analytic data folder. So this here is the data that we did on the video 153, and we've added in some zeros there, some nulls there, and we was doing this as a building heating return temperature. So what we need to do now is we need to give ourselves some points from this information for our analytics. So what we need to do first is I need to tag this. Now you don't tag the numeric scheduler. What you do is, see this heating return temp, we want to tag this. So let's go to edit tags. It's come up on my other screen here, bring it across. So Niagara has already put the history tag in there for us. We're going to add another tag. So I'm not going to use Niagara, I'm going to use haystacks, and I'm going to do boiler. So that's one tag, and then I'm going to use temp. That's the other tag, and I'm going to do flow. Return. In fact, we don't really need to do return, forget it. Just boiler, temp. In fact, we don't need to, we can just tag it just with boiler. We don't need these tags here, so let's remove one of them tags. We'll remove the temp and we just call it, no, we'll leave the temp and we remove the boiler, and let's save that. So that's our tag in there at the moment now, H4 temp. Now because I've added that tag, I need to go into my services and my analytics, right click it, actions, refresh the cache. And then if I look in my analytics and my polars, that's going to, every 5 minutes, we're actually going to get a value in once we've done this. So let's go back to my wire sheet here, and in the analytics palette, I'm going to take a numeric under points. Let me just open, so you've got your, let me just bring this down out of the way. You've got your analytics there, analytics service, and you've got points there. Numeric writable, see this numeric writable? I'm going to bring that across. And this is temp return. Go OK. Now that looks like a normal numeric writable to me, but it's not. If we click into it, see this Analytic Proxy Extension? So it's not a normal, and we've got to fill in this data. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click, pin slots. I'm going to take out in 10 because I know it's going to write to in 16. So, and then I'm going to put poll there. So I know by looking at this now straight away that that is not a normal numeric writable. If we put a normal numeric writable here and go to pin slots, you won't get the poll. You get the set auto, but you won't get that poll. And if you look at these pin slots, you get exactly the same set, but you get the poll there. So that tells me straight away by looking at that point on that wire sheet that that is an analytic point. So now we need to set up that analytic point. So we'll leave the node as it is. The data, well, that was H4 colon and boiler. We could filter it down further, flow, return, whatever, but I'm not bothered about that. Right, so we'll use the value for today, and so that's our time range sorted out. Our roll up, we want the sum, so we want the maximum temperature of today. We can go average if we wanted to, but I don't want to do that. I want the sum, or how many counts, how many points has been counted for that day. I'm not interested, I just want the sum. Interval, forget that because we've got the day there. Aggregation, forget that. Totalize, forget that. And then default, well, we've only got default or fire trigger. Well, I haven't got a fire trigger at the moment, so I'm going to leave it at default at this time, and I'm going to save that. Now what's going to happen now is I've got to wait 5 minutes. It's time based. If you look at this default here, it's time based every 5 minutes on the polars. There you go, 5 minutes. In fact, let's make a new one and we'll do a triggered so we can trigger it ourselves. I'll leave it as a default setting. Now if I go back into this, still hasn't populated yet, so I'm going to set that to fire trigger. Trigger polar. Save. Now if I right click that, actions and poll, we still haven't got any data. Why haven't we got any data? I just double check that I've not changed anything in my analytics service. I want views and AX property sheet, and this is important. The auto tag analytic point is true. We need that to be true, so that's fine. And again, if I actions refresh cache, which I have done already previously, actions, why aren't you polar? Why haven't you? Trigger polar, yes, true. What am I missing here? What am I missing here? Today, some N4, H4 boiler. That's correct. If I just double check that. Temp. What an idiot. I'm using H4 temp, not H4 boiler. Sorry about that. It's because I bloody put boiler in before temp. Save. Now I can trigger it. Poll. Trigger poll. Fire trigger. Save. Not fire trigger. Let me put you on pause because I don't know what's going on here. So what my problem is here is I haven't got any information for today. If I look at my building return temperature, this is a problem when you're using made up data. I look at my AX history table, I've got nothing for today. In fact, I've got 21st right through to the 26th. Well, today's the 28th, so that was an issue, so I'm not going to get anything for today. So what I need to do here is go into my building actions. No, I want that actions, rebuild history. Now let's see whether we've got something for today. We do. We've got a graph there for today now. Right. So now let's go back to where we was, and that's my temperature return that we've done, and we've reset it back to default. So every 5 minutes we get some data. But again, oh, it's just come in there now. Data's just come in. I was going to go to fire, but the data's just come in. 983 for today. So let's make another one. So let's rename that today. Temp return today. And let's do another one. So numeric writable. We could have just copied and pasted, but temp return yesterday. Again, I'm going to take out pin slots, take out in 10 because it writes to in 16. You can see it writing to in 16 there. Put poll so I know it's a analytic proxy. And let's not make the same mistake again. It's temp. Not bother about going down further. And time range, we'll put in yesterday. And roll up again the maximum sum, the maximum temperature of yesterday. And that, not interested in that, not interested in that. Missing data strategy, ignore series, users value. Let's just do that nearest neighbour. So that missing strategy, nearest neighbour, go save. I don't need to redo the cache because it's the same sensor that we're using there. No data at the moment. Let's go into polars, new, triggered polar, go back, still no data, right click actions, execute. So does that mean I don't have any data in for yesterday? Or did I not set that? I didn't set that. Triggered polar, save. Actions, execute. That's yesterday's figure. That's quite high. 325.6. Really? Let's have a quick look at the history. 325.6. So yesterday. Chart. AX history table. Values. It's added up all the sums. Okay, that's no good to me. It's added up everything there, all them values, for 704 values for yesterday. That's the reason why I have got that figure. So I'm going to go back into that and I'm going to take out the sum and I'm going to put that to max. Okay, save. And then I'm going to go into this temperature return today, take out the sum and put in the maximum temperature of that day. Now I'm going to execute. How come that is 983? That's why have we got 983 there? 4. Oh, because I didn't have it to trigger. That's the reason why it's got a poll every 5 minutes. Now trigger. Okay. So maximum temperature yesterday, today it's 49.2. Yesterday it was 49.3. Should we check that that is right? Go to chart. Table, sorry. Click on value. 49.4 on the 22nd. Yesterday was the 27th. There it is. It's got that data there. 49.3. Right. Let's go back. Let's do another one. Let's do a fresh again. So numeric point. Temp. Return. Month. Pin slots. I'm going to take out my in 10. And I'm going to take out, add in the poll, so I know what it is. We'll do the same again. H4 : temp. Forget that. Time range. And this month. Okay. We want the sum, not sum, maximum. And we can go for, well, it's maximum, so it's not going to bother about the zeros. So I don't need to worry about that. Polar, triggered polar. Save. Go back and poll it. Actions, execute. 49.7. And what was that? That was this month. Rename this month. So that's the basics of actually getting the data. I don't think there's anything else I can really show you there. I know I've got to go on and make some graphs for you, but that is using the analytic numeric writable point, tagging not that scheduler, we are tagging this bit. We would normally have this data, but because I don't have the data, I don't have yearly, monthly, daily data. As you saw, I had to right click that action, not right click that, I had to right click that actions and rebuild history, because I didn't have today's data or yesterday's data, because we're just playing here with manufacturing the data. Hence that's why I was thrown out views sheet when I didn't get any data coming in, apart from me also not using the right haystack tagging. I put boiler in there and I tagged it as a temp, so that was my fault as well. But as you know, in my videos I show you my mistakes as well as the corrections. I just don't go through and tell you this is how you do it properly. I actually do make mistakes, and I don't do it on purpose. I actually did make the mistake. Alright, so thank you for watching that, and we'll carry on with another video using that data later on.